to DOGE, we have been learning that our government has been doing lots of very bad things. Michael Snyder reports, the entire world is watching in horror as the crimes of the United States government under the Biden administration are being revealed by DOGE for all the world to see. Election interference, overthrowing governments, ruthless censorship of ideas, funding terrorism, funding abortions, targeting politicians for harassment, and promoting the exploitation of children are just some of the crimes against humanity that our government has been committing. And here he says, Michael Snyder says, as I posted earlier, I documented how government agencies have literally been buying off major media outlets, and if you have a conscience, you should be deeply sickened by what our government has been doing. The primary agency that has been causing so much chaos all over the globe is USAID. It actually has a bigger budget than the CIA does, and in the past it has bragged about interfering in elections and trying to overthrow governments. A 2006 archived USAID website proudly claims the agency supported revolutions in Ukraine, Georgia, Lebanon, and Kyrgyzstan. USAID funded and trained thousands of journalists and lawyers, judges, and election workers conducting polls questioning election legitimacy, published reports alleging fraud, and helped oversee new elections, among other initiatives. Many people watched in wonder as the multicolored revolutions took place: the Orange Revolution in Ukraine, the Rose in Georgia, the Cedar in Lebanon, the Tulip in Kyrgyzstan. Few realize that for years the United States and other countries and organizations had been supporting this homegrown desire for democracy. Our politicians get so upset when someone tries to interfere in our elections, but when we do it to other countries, that is something okay. Is that okay? I don't think so. The son of the president of Hungary is absolutely thrilled that USAID and other US government agencies will no longer be interfering in his nation. In Hungary, we've seen it all before. 7.3 million euros in illicit foreign funding funneled into the 2022 opposition campaign via Soros-backed Action for Democracy. Samantha J. Power visited Budapest to meet LGBTQ activists to push locally driven initiatives to help independent media thrive. NED has been bankrolling opposition media and NGOs for years, and now Victoria Nuland, who once handed Hungary a 2-page ultimatum demanding changes to our domestic policies and constitution in exchange for good relations, quote unquote, sits on the NED board. We have also learned that USAID has literally been funding terrorism. Billions of tax dollars spent by the U.S. Agency for International Development Office, USAID, that are being questioned by the Trump administration, millions went to fund terrorism. A multi-year investigation brought by the Justice Department and U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia reveals the scope of how funds were used in one recent terrorist-related case. If you can believe it, over $9 million from USAID was funded to the al-Nusra Front and other groups inside Syria. In the past, we've been told that those that fund terrorists are party to their crimes. So what does this make USAID? Just something to think about. It has also been revealed that USAID gave $68 million to the World Economic Forum. I could not possibly list all of the bad things that the WF is involved with. USAID was also funding a global censorship network known as the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, CEPPS for short. And CEPPS is the exact USAID program that ran a formal explicit global internet censorship program, pooling hundreds of censorship NGOs into one combined network with the express stated purpose to pressure foreign governments to pass laws and regulations to censor speech online. The good news is that CEPPS website is now down. I think that they wanted to hide their crimes. Speaking of hiding crimes, there's been a tremendous effort to hide the fact that the NIH and USAID were funding the very dangerous gain-of-function experiments that were being conducted in Wuhan, China, just before the pandemic broke out. Records prove that Ben Hu, COVID's likely patient zero, is a Wuhan white coat funded, directed by Fauci, NIT, and USAID to conduct dangerous coronavirus gain-of-function experiments on animals. Watchdog group White Coat Waste Project posted on X today. Fauci has long denied being involved in such measures, but GOP Senator Rand Paul has never backed down from disputing his claims. He likewise challenged Samantha Powers about USAID money going to Wuhan as well. How much pain and suffering could have been avoided if that pandemic had never happened? As I've dug into all this, I have been absolutely amazed by the scale of corruption that has been going on. The Trump administration has listed some of the other ways that USAID money has been used to corrupt children, push immorality, sexual immorality, promote far-left ideology all over the world. $7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language, $20 million for a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $2 million for sex change and LGBT activism in Guatemala, $6 million to transform digital spaces to reflect feminist democratic principles, $2.1 million to help the BBC value the diversity of Libyan society. $10 million worth of USAID funds funded meals which went to an Al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group. $25 million for Deloitte to promote green transportation in the country of Georgia. $6 million for tourism in Egypt. $2.5 million to promote inclusion in Vietnam. $16.8 million for separate inclusion group in Vietnam. $5 million to EcoHealth Alliance, one of the key NGO funding bat virus research at the Wuhan lab. $20 million for a group related to a key player in the Russiagate impeachment hoax. $1.1 million to an American LGBT group. $1.2 million to help the African Methodist Episcopal Church Service and Develop Agency in Washington, D.C. build a state-of-the-art 440-seat auditorium. $1.3 million to Arab and Jewish photographers. $1.5 million to promote LGBT advocacy in Jamaica. $1.5 million to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem. $2 million to promote LGBT equality through entrepreneurship in Latin America. $500,000 to solve sectarian violence in Israel. $2.3 million for artisanal and small-scale gold mining in Amazon. $3.9 million for LGBT causes in the Western Balkans. $5.5 million for LGBT activists in Uganda. $6 million for advancing LGBT issues in priority countries around the world. $6.3 million for men who have, I'm not going to go into that. $8.3 million for USAID education, equity, and inclusion. Are you kidding me? He says. Thankfully, USAID is now being absorbed by the State Department, and most of their existing workers will be placed on administrative leave. If you go to USAID's website right now, this is the message that you will find. On Friday, February 7, 2015 at 11:59 p.m., all USAID direct hire personnel will be placed on administrative leave globally, with the exception of designated personnel responsible for mission-critical functions, core leadership, and especially designated programs. Essential personnel expected to continue working will be informed by agency leadership by Thursday, February 6 at 3 p.m. For USAID personnel currently posted outside the United States, the agency, in coordination with missions and the Department of State, is currently preparing a plan in accordance with all application requirements and laws, under which the agency would arrange and pay for return travel to the United States within 30 days and provide for the termination of PSC and ISC contracts that are not determined to be essential. The agency will consider case-by-case exceptions and return travel extensions based on personal or family hardships, mobility or safety concerns, or other reasons. For example, the agency will consider exceptions based on the timing of dependent school term, personal or familial medical needs, pregnancy, and other reasons. Further guidance on how to request an exception will be forthcoming. Thank you for your service. That was the message. The Department of Education is another agency that has been corrupting countless numbers of children for a long time, and those that work there have been getting paid extremely well. The Department of Education budget for fiscal year 2025 is $82.4 billion, with an average salary of $112,164.56 higher. That's 56% higher than the average government employee. Since its formation in 1979, the U.S. has gone from 1st to 34th in OECD ranking. Thankfully, it appears that the Department of Education is one of the next targets for DOGE. It's being reported that DOGE officials have already stormed the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. Staffers with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, reportedly entered the headquarters of NOAA in Silver Spring, Maryland, and the Department of Commerce in Washington, D.C. today, inciting concerns of downsizing at the agency. They apparently just sort of walked past security and said, "Get out of my way," and they're looking for access for the IT systems as they have in other agencies, said Andrew Rosenberg, a former NOAA official who is now a fellow at the University of New Hampshire. They will have access to the entire computer system, a lot of which is confidential information. As Elon Musk has warned, this is our only opportunity to regain control over our government. This is going to be a battle to the finish. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have put everything on the line against the federal bureaucracy, and only one side is going to make it through all of this. In fact, if Trump had not won the election, he would have gone to prison for the rest of his life, and Musk would have been relentlessly targeted by the feds until he was completely done. So they understand the stakes. Our government agencies are literally teeming with evil and corruption, and they've been doing very bad things for a long time. Hopefully, Trump and Musk will be successful in cleansing up the system, because if they fail, the evil and corruption will only come back even stronger in the future. And this is by Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. This is by Michael Snyder, and about the author. Michael Snyder's new book entitled Why is available on paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 8 other books that are available on Amazon, including Chaos, End Times, 70-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the Most Important News, and he's always freely and happily allowed others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.